Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Nothing Phone 2 and compare it against the iPhone 14 Pro and see which specific phone is a better one for you. Now, if you want to pick up either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off, you can definitely tell that both these phones are a little tiny bit different than one another. The Nothing Phone 2 is, not as expensive as the iPhone 14 Pro, but they're still very, very comparable in some ways. On the iPhone 14 Pro, this is a $1,000 phone that's still being sold for $1,000 right now for me making this video, but this phone is probably going to go down in price very soon. On the front, it had a 6.1-inch Super Retina Extra OLED display, and it is a very good panel. You have the dynamic island, very, very premium feeling phone. This is easily one of the best feeling phones I've ever felt in my life. 120 Hz display on the front too, and it is by far probably one of the biggest assets going for this phone is its display. It looks beautiful. It feels like a $10,000 phone if I'm being honest, and that's something that I really do like about the iPhones. Now, the Nothing Phone 2, on the other hand, it's still a expensive feeling phone. It doesn't cost $1,000, so keep that in mind. This thing on the front though has a 6.7-inch LTPO OLED display, and it's a pretty good looking panel too. 1080p, it's a fairly large display, and it's 120 Hz as well, and it looks good. There's not really too much to complain about here, but I definitely do think that on the front, the iPhone 14 Pro has the better looking panel, but I like how this thing has the hole punch display standard. I don't really like the dynamic island. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I definitely do think the Nothing Phone 2 probably looks. I like the I like this. I don't like this, but I like the display on the 14 Pro if that makes any sense. Now for the rest of the body, you're getting like kind of similar stylings. So you're getting flat sides on both of them, which is pretty cool. So you can basically get this like flat side. You have this like kind of like silver texture, but you also have this like metallic texture or like reflective texture on the iPhone 14 Pro, which again adds to the flavor of the 14 Pro, making it feel like it's a way more expensive phone than it really is. On the bottom, Lightning port on the 14 Pro, USB-C on the bottom of the Nothing Phone 2, and a SIM card tray on the Nothing Phone 2. The iPhone 14 Pro does not have that. And on the back, you're getting very different stylings on both, and it's going to take me a second to explain. So for one, dual camera setup on the Phone 2. iPhone 14 Pro has a triple camera setup with a LiDAR sensor. Glass backs on both. We have a frosted glass back on the iPhone 14 Pro, which feels very nice, very, very expensive. The Nothing Phone 2, on the other hand, a little bit of a different story. This one has that standard glass back completely see-through, and you can see that on the back side of that glass, it has this like ring light texture to it. So this is like their glyph interface, that's what they call it. And it's like these LED lights that are on the back, so when you get notifications and stuff, it basically rings here, and it basically shows like a little light show. And it's pretty cool. You have complete control over it, and it's something that's cool. It's a novelty, but it's kind of cool to have. And if you throw on their certain case that they have, I think it's pretty cool too. So you have reverse wireless charging on the Nothing Phone 2. They both have IP certification, and I will definitely tell you between both, lots of similarities, but also some key differences too. And I definitely would say that between both, they both get a thumbs up for me, and I like both these phones a lot. But I think the iPhone 14 Pro is probably the one that is more expensive feeling, but the Nothing Phone 2 is probably the one that has a few more features built in. Now, in terms of software and longevity, this is probably the area where the iPhone 14 Pro is probably going to win at. This device is probably going to have a longer lasting experience in terms of software than the Nothing Phone 2, and that's just kind of what happens. When you're getting a device like the iPhone 14 Pro, this is going to be a device that's going to be supported for many, many years to come. And that's not to say the Phone 2 is not going to be supported. Like, this phone is still going to be here for many years as well. But the iPhone 14 Pro, by far, is probably going to be the one that's going to have the longest lasting support out of these two devices. This thing's probably going to last another 5 years plus, where the Nothing Phone 2 is probably going to be here for, who knows, like maybe it's going to be here for like another couple years. The iPhone we have a history of, the Nothing phones we really don't. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens, but definitely that kind of covers it up there. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both these phones. The Nothing Phone 2 has that Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chipset inside, with 8 gigs of RAM on this specific model, but it does go up to 12 gigs of RAM. The iPhone 14 Pro has that Apple A16 body chip inside of it with 6 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one's the faster phone between both. Okay, there we go. Hopping out of all the apps in the background, you can see that that's basically what we have. So let us get into it. Phone calls 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think the 14 Pro is faster. Let's go and get into their cameras 3, 2, 1. Let's go and take a photo 3, 2, 1. Took some time here. Let's go and open up that photo. Okay, let's go and hop out. So kind of a similar experience, kind of photos 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go and hop out of this one. So we'll get into their app stores. 3, 2, 1. So the Play Store is always pretty fast of opening up that application. The iPhone 14 Pro, a little bit slower. Scrolling through, like I said, both are 120 hertz. Both are fairly smooth and fairly fast here, which is pretty nice. Nothing really crazy. Hopping on this one, we do have some other third-party applications we can open up. Let's try Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. Now, as always, there's going to be some annoying pop-ups or something crazy that happens that we didn't account for. And this one seems to be doing pretty good. Actually, the Nothing Phone 2 loaded this game up faster, which is it's not insane, but it's kind of interesting. The Nothing Phone 2 actually has a really good chipset too, so they're actually probably more in line than different, to be honest. Okay, let's go and hop out of here. Let's go and play. Why am I getting so many pop-ups? There we go. Okay, I was trying to match them up at the same time, but I guess it's not happening. But I'm sure the experience is probably going to be around the same. Thank you. 3, 2, 1. And the Nothing Phone 2 was faster. The iPhone 14 Pro a little bit behind. Hopping out of these two, let's go and try something else. Snake first blocks. 3, 2, 1. And you can see that pretty much the same thing, not that big of a difference hopping out of this one. So I'm going to stack 3, 2, 1. And you can see pretty much, not really that big of a difference here either. Pretty much the same thing. Hopping out of here, let's go and try Snapchat. 3, 2, 1. I think the Nothing Phone 2 was a little bit faster there. We could try one more. Let's go and try something like Roblox 3, 2, 1, although we're not really even logged in here. We do have to upgrade here, so that kind of changed things up a little bit. Facebook 3, 2, 1. I think I tapped here a little bit faster, but it's still roughly around the same thing. So I think when it comes down to the speed differences between these two, not really like massive differences. I think the iPhone 14 Pro probably is the smoother one. The Nothing Phone 2 was actually a pretty fast phone though. Like I'm actually pretty surprised how fast of a phone the Nothing Phone 2 is. But I definitely would say when it kind of comes down to it, I don't think you're really going from one phone to the other based off the performance. They're both kind of roughly around the same thing as far as I can tell. So that pretty much covers it up. Now from the camera department, this was another interesting thing that I kind of mentioned before. You are getting very solid cameras between both, and you're definitely getting a much better camera on the iPhone 14 Pro. The Nothing Phone 2's camera is fairly average. The iPhone 14 Pro's camera is much, much better. 4K at 60 on the back of both, but you are getting 4K at 60 on the front of the iPhone 14 Pro. With the Nothing Phone 2, you're not really getting 4K at 60, which isn't the biggest deal ever, but you are getting, from my experience, a much better camera in pretty much every single area on the iPhone 14 Pro. This is a very solid lens. I think you're getting 15x zoom on the inside. You're getting 0.5x zoom on the outside. You're getting video mode. You're getting cinematic mode, slow mode, time lapse. You're also getting portrait mode and panorama mode. You're getting a very solid camera pretty much all throughout on this device, which is beautiful. And that is something that I really do like and prefer about this type of device. With the Nothing Phone 2, I think this is a good camera. I wouldn't even classify it as a very good camera. It's a good camera. It gets the job done. If we go and take a look at it, you can kind of see that for the most part, it's kind of a clunky interface. It reminds me a lot of the iPhone one, which is also very clunky. You're getting 10x zoom on the inside, 0.6x zoom on the outside. You're getting portrait mode. Under more, you're getting a few more mode and options as well. You're getting video mode, slow mode as well. And overall, it's a fairly decent camera. It's a fairly decent lens. And that's something that I actually prefer a lot about this type of device. Like I said, when you're getting a phone like the Nothing Phone 2, you're getting a very solid camera. And that's something that I really do like about this type of device, but it's not a great camera. It's okay for what you're paying for, but it's definitely not something I would go out of my way to basically use. So to sum it up, I think the Nothing Phone 2 is a good phone. And if you're in the market and you need a brand new device, then by all means go for it. You probably can't go that wrong by buying this phone, but there's really no competition. If you're able to and if you can, buying an iPhone 14 Pro would probably be the smartest decision of your life. It is a way better phone than the Nothing Phone 2 in my opinion. If you're comfortable with iPhones and everything, then this would be probably the device I would recommend a majority of people buying. I probably, kind of a clear answer here in my opinion, but if not, you can always go buy the Nothing Phone 2. So that pretty much covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.